Okay, so I'm going to move on now to have Kimberly Linson join us. Kimberly, I'm going to put up my screen share.
I feel like I want to put that on your profile somewhere that says the days before single sign-on were awkward and sad. It's really good.
I can't imagine being a teacher and trying to log in 37
No way.
with all their own usernames and passwords. I mean, can you imagine?
I subbed in a class a couple of years ago, and that I don't even remember what the app was. It might have been iReady actually. And the teacher was pretty new, and she said to me, could you help the kids log in? And she handed me, I'm not joking you, a sticky note with them all the kids' names and all their logins on the sticky note. And I said to her, I was like, what would happen if you lost this sticky note? And she looked at me like,
with horror.
She lost that sticky note, she was going to be done. So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to put my video on because I know this is going to be sort of an open conversation.
I would love that. I did put together a few slides because I thought it would be fun. And we've got some, but you and I can.
I'll take my video off then, and you share. You just need to say share, and then you share, and then I'll pipe up as
I say.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead and you share. I had one other slide for you, but that was just an intro thought. Yeah, there you go, Colorado.
All right, Colorado. I know. So for those of you that are not familiar with Randa Solutions, I was thinking about, like, we spend so much time talking about student facing and single sign-on and being able to look at what your students are doing and do all that great diagnostic work. But Rand is actually all about you and what we can do for teachers and how we can make teachers' lives easier so that you can focus on what you want to be focused on, which is the students in front of you. And so we are really about building the future of how you manage your career and how you manage your professional data. And in Colorado, I'm excited to report that very shortly, in just actually a few weeks, beginning of March in the spring, I think you're going to get a new licensure system that is brought to you by Randa. And let's see, I sometimes have trouble moving these slides forward. Here we go. And here it is. It is called COOL, which stands for Colorado Online Licensing. And this is what your new profile is going to look like if you are an educator, a licensed educator in the state of Colorado. It's going to look like this, and it's going to provide a much more streamlined process, a workflow process for everyone involved, from you as the educator submitting your license application, and from those on the state side trying to reconcile and approve your license as quickly as possible so they can get you in the classroom. So you're going to find things like you'll have a really robust profile where you can have your information, change your information, and you won't need to enter it twice because it'll be there anytime you come back because you want to add an endorsement or you want to you have something new to do, a new licensure or a renewal. The application process is considerably streamlined. We're really excited about that. There's really clear communication tools within the platform to tell you where your application is in the process. And you'll have your credentials available to you right in the platform. And you can print your certificates. So anything you have here, it can be stored right in this profile, which we think is going to be really helpful for all of you. And so we're excited to be a part of launching that in the next just like couple of weeks. So I don't know if anybody has a question or about the Colorado online licensing. I might not be able to answer it, but I'm happy to take it back to the team. I'll let Leilani jump in if there's somebody who has something burning to say about online licensure and I'm going to go ahead and just go to the next exciting thing. So this is the state licensure system, right? Everybody's got to do this. Everybody's got to take their diploma and take their transcripts and take their praxis test and upload it into the system, and then something happens. We don't really know what. It all goes into the centralized little hub, and it gets looked at and figured out, and then you get a decision. That's how states do it now, but it is not how states are going to do it for that much longer. And so we're really excited to be a part of what is going to happen on the bleeding edge of technology, as Leilani and I have talked about before. And that is that this information is going to be very soon for all of us in all aspects of our lives living on the blockchain. And in fact, in Colorado, you all already know this because you have the My Colorado app with your driver's license, and you're able to have that in digital form. That's coming for the rest of your life. That is coming for your health records. It is coming for your career. And that's what we're about. We're really focused on, again, on teachers and giving teachers the tools necessary to manage their career without taking a lot of time and energy so that you can focus on students. And I'm pleased to announce, 2 weeks ago, it was announced that we won the American Council on Education's Blockchain Innovation Challenge. And our project that we submitted to ACE is called the Lifelong Learner Project. And it really is about building out an ecosystem for teacher digital identity. And that may not sound like a huge thing, but actually maybe that's not true. Maybe if you've ever had to apply for a license and you've ever had to try to find this thing that you couldn't find, you know how frustrating it is to have your digital identity kind of spread out in a bunch of different places. This is really the idea that we're going to start with teachers and build a digital identity for you. And we think that teachers are the right folks to start with, because if teachers do it, then it's going to be easy to move down into students and have students who are already seeing the modeling that you're doing of how you manage your data. They're going to be able to do it. And I think it will expand into other careers, right? Teachers are the most important leaders. So that's how we've started. And just to give you a couple of little fact points about the project itself is we will launch or present our minimum viable product to the ACE steering committee at the end of April. And hopefully they will say, great, go on to phase 2. And in phase 2, because we'll have the system, that's what we're doing right now, is building it to show on the end of April. And then after that, we're going to be trying to get people to go into the App Store and get their wallet. So we're going to empower 3,000 teachers with their digital identity and connect you into this ecosystem. In a second, I'm going to show you what the ecosystem looks like. We believe the future of this is so powerful, especially as we move into the new dawn of education, that no longer are you bound by 4 walls of a classroom, but if you're an AP chemistry teacher, you could teach in 5 rural school districts online, and you're going to need to be able to have the portability. And you might be able to, you want to know, like, I'm interested in pursuing this pathway of a career. What are the things I need to have done? What do other people who've pursued that pathway look like? We'll be able to provide that. And then really, whenever you're building or launching a product like this, you have a cold start problem. This is something that I'm new to learning about, but it makes a lot of sense to me, right? Like if I download an app and when I go into the app, it doesn't do the thing I want it to do, I don't use it again, right? And so the problem is that when you're building something, you sort of like want to build one thing and then you want to get another thing, and you want to get another thing. Well, when you're building an app and you're trying to implement blockchain technology, you need sort of everybody to be on the page at the same time. And when the light switch goes on, the whole power grid goes up. And so that's what we're about doing. And I'll show you that. I'm going to move past this. So this is, these are the things that are going to be available right away. You'll be able to put, we're the exclusive partner for ETS. And so, or exclusive wallet partner for ETS. Your Praxis exams will be able to be, your score reports will be able to be stored inside of your teacher wallet. If you are in the state of Utah, you'll actually be able to then upload your ETS Praxis test to the state. And we think that more states will follow along very, very shortly on that. If you take a Digital Promise micro-credential course, those micro-credentials will be able to easily be sent up into your wallet. And we're working with ed prep programs to have your evidence of your student teaching, your transcript, your diploma, all of that be a part of that digital wallet. We've also been working with university partners and alternate pathways so that we can help those folks in non-traditional ed prep programs move into teaching. So that's a little bit, and then we have a bunch up here at the top. These are a bunch of really state-of-the-art technology companies and folks who are doing a lot of thinking about this wallet. Because the other thing that is very important to the project and to all of us is that this doesn't have anything to do with A wallet or B wallet or C wallet. They should all be able to take your data, store it the way you want it to be stored securely, and allow you to send it to whomever you want to as a verifiable credential. That means we need to have lots of wallet providers in the ecosystem. And so Flurry and Evernym, actually IDRamp, Evernym, Velocity, and Randa, we all have wallet examples, and we're really working to make sure they're interoperable. Sort of like when you think about Google and Yahoo and I can't remember the other one right now, the Microsoft one. Anyway, right, like those all work together. You can open a web page on any of them. That's the same thing that's happening here. You should be able to open your credential on any wallet. And here it is, just in case you want to see it. Yeah.
I just want to interject because I think something that you said early on, and I just want to sort of punch it up a little bit. And that is when I talk next about hybrid logistics, one of the concepts is that the future is a matrix. And one of the big reasons why what you're telling us right now, we see in the next year as being critically important is because the number of people retiring nationally in education is just massive.
Yeah.
And there won't be enough teachers unless you try to steal them from Texas, who is the only state in the nation, I think, with a minor surplus. But California is already going there to poach them. So the idea that you're going to have way less teachers and have to leverage them across a matrix, I think that's a real big why behind the work that you're doing. Because
yes, it is.
I've already had superintendents tell me we can't get a science teacher out here in rural Oklahoma, or we can't get this or we can't get that. And so that sharing mentality, that network orientation nationally, maybe even globally, it's going to be huge, and probably in the very near future, like nearer than anybody ever thought.
Definitely.
We're only graduating some minimum number of teachers who already have to be retrained because they're not being trained the way they're supposed to be nationally, and it's just not enough. So it's a really big issue.
Definitely. And I think, I've met so many teachers over the years who are amazing, and you want to like clone them and like, right, like try to just go, okay, well, you're amazing, how can we take you and like spread you out? And I think that is coming too, right, is this ability to because of the technology, be able to, for teachers to really say, hey, I'm a professional, I know what I'm talking about, I know how to do this, and I need you to recognize that. I need you to look at what I've done. And that's where the wallet comes in. You can store all the evidence of your professional life, right? It just becomes and it isn't something that is, when I've been asked the question, well, how's that different than LinkedIn? Well, LinkedIn doesn't store anything, right? LinkedIn is, and it's public, right? This is your, whatever you put on LinkedIn, you're ready for the whole world to see. This isn't that. This is more like your personal file cabinet where you keep the things that you want, and you get to decide you as the wallet holder have the agency over your data. You get to do what you want. If you want to share a lesson plan with the teacher across the hall, but not with other teachers in the district, then that's you to decide that. If you want to share your micro credentials, maybe you're applying for a very specific position and you want to show you've taken a lot of professional learning in one specific area, you could just share those things, right? You get to curate what the world sees in a verifiable way. I mean, that's the other thing about LinkedIn, right? I could put I'm a neurosurgeon on LinkedIn and no one would check me. But here, if I sent someone a verifiable credential that said I was a neurosurgeon, they would click the button to verify that I had graduated from the institution I said I had and that my board was legitimate, and they would come back that it's not. So these are trustable, both by you as the receiver of them. You know what you got is valid and true, and so you feel comfortable sending it to someone so that they know it's valid and true. So yeah, so this is what it looks like when you get it. This is what you'll see. You can see an ETS credential in here, and then I just couldn't help it. I wanted to tease another thing that we're working on, and then we can chat, Leilani. I don't know how much you know about what we're doing with COVID reporting. And as often happens in times of crisis, you sort of somebody asks you to help and you jump in and you help. And that's what happened for us. We are an education company. We build education software. But we had a friend who owns a lab and said, I cannot handle, I'm getting all of these COVID tests in my lab. It's taking too much time for my staff to be able to report the results. And what can we do about that? And so we actually built them a portal. It's called the Integrated Communications Portal. It collects very minimal patient data, and in less than 24 hours after the result is completed, it actually sends a text message to the patient with their results. It can do all the other stuff that it is meant to do, communicate with the county or state and get to the doctors, all that. But for a patient, it communicates very, very quickly. And that result is going to be available as a verifiable credential. So you open up your results, it says you're negative, right? You're negative. And it'll say there, right in there, do you want this result as a verifiable credential? Well, I'm going to show you in a second why that's important, right? Like that is, I don't know how many of you are dealing with this now. I know I have 3 kids, and every morning that they are in school, I fill out a variety of online paper apps to say, he hasn't had a fever, no, he hasn't been exposed to anyone who has COVID. And basically schools are coming up with the business rules around what's acceptable, right? Obviously you need a negative test. Obviously when we have vaccines, we'd like to have a vaccine. Obviously we'd like to have, we'd like you to answer these questions about your habits and where you've been. But right now schools, and so this is where I'm making the connection back to education. We built the portal for the lab. We started doing the results for patients at the lab. Then we connected it back to what we do in education. And here's what we're hoping to deliver to schools in the fall, which is this ability to instead of collecting all this data in not really knowing what to do with it, isn't the only thing the school cares about is this person healthy enough to be in this building? Are they a low risk for that? Are they high risk? Are they medium risk? And is there a way that we can build those rules behind the scenes so that teachers aren't needing to go through, oh, wait. Oh, wait, he said, yes, he has had a fever. He can't be, right? Like too much data. And so we're building that as a part of this verified COVID credential. So I just thought that was kind of fun. Leilani, you and I haven't really talked about that before. And so I just thought I would show that as a little teaser of something else we're working on.
I know your CEO well. He's always working on something.
Yeah, always working on something. And this is his phrase, right? Dream big, but iterate daily. We're constantly like, what can I do next? How can I, what one little thing can I do to change the product for the better? And if you want to take a look, we are Randa Solutions, but if you want to learn more about the Lifelong Learner Project and you want to sign up to be informed when the app is available in the App Store, lifelonglearnerproject.org, and you can take a look at what we're doing.
Yeah, and I'm excited about this because, one of the things I like to talk about is that matrix view.
I think the matrix view is really important. I think I've been in a number of things. I want to move you, but it doesn't seem to want to let me. I've been in a number of things where we're, things like we're talking about the supply chain of education, and the supply chain of education is a matrix, not a chain. It looks lots and lots of dotted lines and moving parts.
Yeah, and really what we're talking about here is, it's a structural shift. I'm going to talk a lot more about the structural shift in a minute when you and I are done, but technically what we're trying to have everybody do that joins these conference calls, these regional events, is understand that we're definitely in a digital transition that includes a structural shift of the way organizations are run.
Yeah.
So we're not talking, especially with you guys at Randa, we're not talking about another widgety tool for teachers to use. We're talking about systems that are going to perfect the workflow of how education is distributed and accessed, and how you place your people. So you really, pretty much every superintendent on the line with us for the last few years said normal's not coming back. A little terrified when they say that.
I would encourage the folks in your audience to check out the Internet of Education. Mm-hmm. That is a very much in line with what you're talking about, but really also trying to figure out. And again, I've been in education in the classrooms for years. This sitting in the technology seat is a new seat for me. And I get it, because what they're trying to do in the Internet of Education is figure out, well, how do we match up machine readable and human readable? And how do we make sure that those two things are not as off as they are in lots of other areas? So they're doing exciting work. I'd definitely go check them out.
Yeah, exciting work. So final words. How do people get a hold of you? What do you want them to do to reach you?
I really think that folks in this audience should go to the Lifelong Learner Project and sign up so that you'll get alerts when as to how that project is moving. And we're excited about it. We want to get it in the hands of teachers. We want to get you using it. We want to get your feedback so that we can really build out this ecosystem so that it's a useful tool for everyone. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. And can I ask you to just comment also on what's happening in North Dakota? Because, Colorado is one of the bellwether states. They're kind of forward thinking out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. People in Colorado, a lot of companies want to come in to do business with Colorado. They're in the ed tech space because Colorado is one of the forward thinking places, kind of like Atlanta. And
yeah, especially with this, my Colorado digital identity. They definitely, and we are definitely in conversations with Colorado about the work that we're doing in North Dakota. So we are building what's called the Open Credential Publisher. So think of it similarly as to what I was saying about the teacher wallet. That actually what happened in North Dakota is that they had a mandate to have a blockchain-based project. And so they looked around for what would be the right scope to start with. And so they decided to start with transcripts and high school transcripts. That was a pain point of sort of getting student transcripts once they left high school, how did they have that information? You literally, I have it printed. You would go and you would download a PDF off of Bismarck High School. You would send $2 in an envelope, and then they would mail you your transcript after you graduated. Before you graduated, you could see it in the student information system, but once you graduate, you can't have that anymore. So that was sort of the stumbling block. And so we've built what's called the Open Credential Publisher, and it allows that transcript as a high school student. You can take your transcript and turn it into a comprehensive learner record. So that means that it doesn't just, it can be added to, right now it's just the transcript, but it can be added to so that it is a more robust profile of who you are. So just as I was saying, teachers and your careers, this would be students, and all of the evidence of their learning, right, is in that comprehensive learner record. And we package the comprehensive learner record as a verifiable credential. And we talked about that before too, that verifiable credentials mean that if I send it to North Dakota State, they're going to trust that this is a valid and official transcript because it has that cryptographic signature in it. And so sort of like, I like to think about it like the seal, right? You know, a diploma is real when you can see that paper seal on the paper. Mm-hmm. This is a digital version of that, a cryptographic version of that seal, so that they know that it's official. So you can take it, you can pull it into your digital wallet, your transcript, and it's a collection of assertions, right? So you're a transcript as a whole, but then individually you took English 10 and you took concert band. And so those individual items can then be shared with someone who might want them. So let's say you were applying for a job as a flautist. You would want to show your concert band, but maybe you didn't want to show your English 10. You'd be able to, again, curate, just as we were talking about with the teacher wallet, who you are as a learner, and share what's relevant to that consumer who's interested in getting that information, whether it's a higher education or a job, right? You can share that information up with them, and you get to curate it.
Yeah, so it's that curation point. So this is all around that conversation that's now being had at two different levels. The level of a portfolio that is shareable. So you, in other words, as an individual, this is different than the old internet, right? You as an individual have control over your identity that's being shown. And the credentials that are in that are verifiable with blockchain. They're certified. It's not just, whatever, right? I'm a neurosurgeon.
Exactly.
I really am. So that's different, because we are moving, I would say, in the next couple of years in education towards this reality where you are not only have more agency as an individual student, because everything's been remote and it's moving to online and it's a big mishmash of physical attendance and then online, but also this idea that you have sovereignty, and that will accrue to itself within systems, preferences, favorite color choices, blah, 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 blah. And then that's the macro level, that identity level. And then at that's the micro level. The macro level, we're talking about your own portfolio, like what you're doing, which is super cool, but it's also causing everybody to now understand that you're going to be in charge of you. And, and rather than you're sort of almost like, it's up to the outside world to monetize me with advertising. They've sucked me into their layer, and now I'm using social media and they're monetizing me. Now it's like you're in charge of you. It's kind of flipped, which almost everything is flipping after the pandemic. Right. Everything's changing.
Right. You think of in the past, you had everybody out here moving into a central point, and now it's going to be matrix, right? It's going to be all these nodes across the ecosystem, and they're all going to be interconnected, but they're going to be distributed. They're not going to be this centralized hub. Will be decentralized. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. And mentally, and more leaders in education, even teachers, need to grasp what the meaningfulness of this is, because they're kind of thinking in an old fashioned way, but we got to catch them up quickly because
Yeah, I think that the best couple of examples that I have are when thinking about it as sorry, my phone is going off and I don't know how to shut it down, but thinking of it as I've completely lost it. Walking into a bar, that's a good example. Walking into a bar and showing your driver's license. And right now that bartender can see where you live, how much you weigh, what color your eyes are, right? They can see your date of birth. But really, what does a bartender need to know?
Your birth date only.
They just need to know you're over 21, right? And so that example of how we can personally hold and give the data, only the data we want, it is going to require a personal responsibility that we then take control over our data. And it's hard. That was my New Year's resolution. Now that I've dug into this digital identity, I'm like, I have been fast and loose with my digital identity. Somebody's like, you want 10% off? I'm like, here, I have my email. And I'm trying to clean that up because I've left myself kind of a very massive digital trail. All right. Thank you so much. This was great fun as always.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for walking us down this road. All right. Okay, good. So now we're going to talk. Yeah. Thank you, Kimberly.